What is up, beautiful people? If you're new to this channel, welcome. My name is Sasha Sunflower 333. I'm a radical woman. I am a plant-based cook and eater. I am a mommy, and I also do some cool little vlogs. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you are already a subscriber, hello, peace and love, welcome back. We are going to go ahead and get into the topic for today's video. So, today's video is all about my free birth experience, journey, all that good stuff, okay? So, I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it. So, it all started on March 29th of the year 2021. We had a couple with the names of Sasha and Dre. She was 10 months pregnant and 4 days when suddenly a baby arose out of her vagina. Okay, I'm just kidding. So it starts off with me watching a fellow YouTuber's video, her birth story, and she reveals after she had the baby that she did a free birth and what it is. And a free birth is basically you're having birth at whatever desired space you choose to be in, where you feel comfortable and safe. And it's really just no medical personnel there, you know. You're just having a physiological birth, meaning like all natural, you know, undisturbed, untouched birth, really. You know, it's just you and whoever you choose to have in that space along with you. And yeah, so basically just no medical people with you that can start to hinder the labor's process. And that's what I chose to do. So me and my partner had our baby in our apartment. But like I was saying, she had spoke on a course called the Free Birth Society, being very like helpful in her journey. Sparked my curiosity because I'm like, wow, what could they know that made her feel so comfortable just doing it on her own? Because for me, I always knew I wouldn't be in a hospital, but I figured, you know, I'd have a midwife, I'd have my doula. Little did I know at the time that, like, you know, you can have a a medical midwife who is practically just a travel doctor, because they do those same practices and can be just as harmful as your doctor, you know. So that opened my eyes a bit once I found out about the Free Birth Society. That was their name. They have a podcast as well that I am in love with. I literally, as soon as I found the podcast, I was like, oh my God, this is everything that I thought I wanted. And they're very just raw and like informational, and I respect everything they stand for, and I resonate with it. So if you guys are like super interested in free births and hearing stories of women going through those same journeys like I did, definitely check them out, because they are so beautiful. I just love births. So maybe a little biased, but yeah. So I had checked them out, and then that further like solidified my choice of like, when I have a baby, I'm for sure going to have a free birth. And this was prior to me even thinking I would be pregnant, right? So I freaking that was when I found out about them. I want to say like maybe late May, early June of 2020. And I became pregnant, I believe, in late June, but I didn't find out until late July. So there goes that month, and I find out I'm pregnant, so I automatically know, yes, I'm going to have a free birth, and no one could tell me anything differently. honestly. Like, I was very stubborn and stuck in that. I don't really care what anybody has to say, honestly, because at the point, like, I'm the one who's going to be birthing the baby, so I really need to be comfortable in wherever I'm at. And, you know, if you feel insecure about it and not sure of yourself and don't trust yourself, of course it's going to make you think like, well, why wouldn't you have a doctor? Why wouldn't you have someone there with you? So I was sad about that, and my partner is definitely not a pro hospital person. He just wanted to know a little bit more information on it, and I think it definitely still had to do with like trusting yourself and trusting the process and trusting my body. So that could be like a hard thing to do for someone who doesn't trust well. So I definitely empathize with him being a little skeptical and not feeling so sure about it. Throughout the pregnancy, it was a kind of like a little, what is the word? I can't think of the word. But we definitely did have our ups and downs through the conversation of free birth, because he felt I wasn't giving him enough information. And look at it in hindsight, even though he didn't ask and I was just wanting him to, I should have made it to where I'm giving him more information, because when I think about at the birth, I wish he knew more so he could have done more, in the sense of like coaching me and like, you know, giving me those, you know, beautiful like words of encouragement and stuff. Not saying he did the complete opposite and was bashing me. I'm saying in this, like, he didn't kind of know what to do. And like, I'm going through all these sensations and rushes. So like, my thing isn't saying, can you say this for me? You know, like, I'm not thinking about that. I'm just going through the motions at that point. But I do wish, looking back, that I did prep him enough so he felt a little more confident and also just knew what to do, because we're both first-time parents. We don't know any of this, and first-time free birthers. So yeah, but nonetheless, it was a great, beautiful birth, and it was something that like I'll treasure forever. So I also prepped with a few books. Ina May Gaskin's Guide to Childbirth. I read like all the stories in that book because I just love her stories. Sorry guys. And I read a bit of her speaking, like giving advice, but it started to get a little too like medicinal. Is that the word? I don't know. It started to remind me of like hospital ways and stuff like that. So I was like, you know, I think I got everything I need from this book. I'm going to go ahead and set it aside. I did that, and then I also read this book called Sacred Birthing. It's a beautiful book. I can't remember who it's by, but it was a beautiful book. I didn't finish it. For some reason, like I stopped, and like I was so into it, and then like, yeah, I think I'm done. So I just accepted that and didn't even force myself to keep reading it, and that was that. And then the book that I did finish for sure though was Placenta, the Forgotten Chakra. Such a lovely book. Oh my god, so informative. It was just so, it talked about the process of, you know, lotus births. And if you guys aren't familiar with a lotus birth, it is when you keep the placenta and cord attached to your baby until it falls off. That is a full lotus birth. And within reading that, I decided like me and my partner decided that was what we wanted to do, because it seemed like the most gentle way to, you know, bring your baby earthside, and you know, it just seemed right, so we were called to do that. And I'll speak about that in the postpartum video that I'm gonna have second to this one. So yeah, so read that book. If you guys are interested in that and want to know more about it and some of the rituals and how to go about it, go ahead and check out that book. It was a lovely book. So I read those, and the courses. I also just, follow some birth pages that are very informational. My explore page on Instagram just started to look like mommy stuff, so I was grabbing information from everywhere. I have a couple friends who had just had babies, so it was like, okay, like I'm getting tips and tricks from everywhere. But I knew for sure that I did not want a hospital birth after hearing these stories. So my mom was supportive. She helped me get like the courses, and she made sure I was staying on my books and knowing everything that I needed to know. She was really great throughout the pregnancy. My family, however, particularly my grandparents, because they are so like, no, the doctor said, and that's just not something I stick by. My grandmother literally called me stupid for doing it on my own. And I was just like, I'm not going to just, take it personally. I know she doesn't truly think I'm stupid. She's super ecstatic now that Sola is here. Like they both my grandparents just over the moon. So I was just like, yeah, but I did that all on my own. So respect, period. And, yeah, so family was pretty, like, half and half. Everybody, well, not even half and half, it was just them two. And the rest was like either, I don't care, or, oh, that's cool. And that was that. So I didn't have too much flack. A lot of my friends already know the type of person I am, so I didn't have much of like, you need to go to the hospital. But everybody was more so just like, worried and like on the edge of their seat, like I just want the baby to be safe and you guys to be okay. And I'm like, that's a genuine, worry, and I understand that. I'm just knowing that this is what my body is called to do. So I did have some prenatal care, like I just stated. The doctor honestly didn't do much. I didn't really care for the prenatal care or the doctor because she kept trying to press me to get the flu shot, and I just wasn't fucking with that because no, I don't want the fucking flu shot, and no, I don't want it when I have a damn baby inside me. Like you're trying to kill me. So I was like, yeah, no, I'm good. But she like kept pressing and pressing and pressing, so it made me uncomfortable. And yeah, that was like, I never seen her after I think the 5th month. I was over it, and I knew for sure I wasn't going in during my 3rd trimester because they gonna try to pull some shit, say I have gestational diabetes or some weird, and I didn't want to get thrown into that loophole, so stopped going. So I had begin getting so they call them Braxton Hicks contractions. However, I don't refer to them as Braxton Hicks. I call them pre-labor rushes or sensations. So if you guys hear me saying rushes or sensations, that's another word for contractions. And if you hear me say pre-labor, that's just the Braxton Hicks. So I had the pre-labor like rushes, and those would be like super like nothing compared to labor ones, let me tell you. So those ones felt like my period, whatever. And I was getting those on the 24th of March, and the baby was due on March 25th. So I was like, oh my God, is this baby gonna come on March 25th? That was the exact due date. Like, that'd be crazy. No, I got them, and I had really bad lower back pain, like really bad for like 2 hours straight. And I happened to be at my Grammys, and I'm like, dang, this back pain isn't going away. And I didn't really pay attention to it because I was on FaceTime with my cousin. So I was like, talking, moving around. So I wasn't like really like, damn, it's been 2 hours that I've had this back pain. So once I noticed that after I get off the phone, I'm like, oh, I think this may be a little bit of labor. So I'm like, let me get home. I rush home. And then as soon as I lay down, because I'm like, well, let me get some rest, just in case it is labor, I need to be well rested, they stop. And then just don't come back at all. And I'm like, oh, she played me. So yeah, that happens. And we're going to fast forward all the way to 28th of March. So it is 3:30 in the morning, and I wake up from a sensation, and I'm like, okay, go back to sleep. Wake up again, and I'm like, that's interesting. Try to go back to sleep. I wake up again, and I'm like, okay, I think these are pretty consistent. Let's go ahead and stay up. So my partner is laying there next to me, and he's like, oh, dude, he's like, what's going on? Are you okay? Are you good? Like, and I was like, no, just go back to sleep, because if it is labor, I need you to be well rested, because I'm for sure not going to be. Like, there's no way I'm going to be able to sleep. So did that. He went back to sleep, and I stayed up, and I was just watching like a Breakfast Club interview with Queen Aqua, and I'm like, okay, I'm exhausted now, so let me go back to sleep. This was like 5:30, and I wake up about 9. They're still there. I think they were just so light that I was able to sleep through them. But when I wake up, they're still continuing, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is definitely labor. And let's see, I think I called my mom. She was just like, okay, like, just let me know how it progresses, if you need me to go over. And I was like, okay, I will. So I just continue watching Law and Order, and I'm just setting up the living room to be, accommodable for if I give birth in there. And they're getting a little more intense, but nothing compared to like when active labor started. So I'm still chilling throughout the day, just doing my deep breathing, saying some mantras as like, I surrender to the process. I'm opening, I'm flowing with the rushes, stuff like that, just to allow my body to relax during them and go with the flow of it rather than going against it and like tensing up. So doing that, doing some deep breathing, and that pretty much was very helpful throughout the process. So we make it to 11, 12, about 11, I want to say it was. We're watching a movie on, I don't know, on one of those streaming services. And I was like, ooh, yeah, this right here is a lot. So my partner turns off the movie, and we're just sitting there, and now it's just like intense. Like, for sure has kicked up a level. So I'm like, okay, like, let's focus, let's hone in. Like, that's what my body was asking me to do, right? And we are sitting there, and I'm going with them, trying to like get up a little, try different things that I had heard on like the birth stories and stuff like that. So I'm like, at one point I tried to dance. I had tried to get on all fours, and that was absolutely terrible for me. That hurt so bad. Dancing just didn't work as well as I wanted it to. Like, it still was just like, wow, this is painful, so I'm gonna go ahead and sit back down. Sitting was honestly the best. It was kind of like I would like lean forward and had my legs wide, and I just was like leaning like that, and that kind of helped. For sure helped when I said the mantras though. Like, when I flowed with it and wasn't so focused on the pain, it definitely subsided the pain. Like, I wish I would have did more of that, because towards the end I for sure was like, ah! No screaming though, but definitely some roars, okay? So we do that, and he's like, you want to get in the tub? And I was like, okay, yeah, let's get in the tub. Maybe that'll help a little bit. So this is about 12:30, and I get in the tub. We had lit a candle because I wanted to light a white candle, so then my friends and my close friends and family could light a white candle as well, so they could spiritually be in the in there with us, in the room with us, and just putting in good energy and light into the birthing process. And also on the spiritual realm of having my baby, calling them in a sense, like, I'm lighting this candle for you. You can see like the light and the way to come in. So we did that, and we moved the candle over into the bathroom. I get in the tub, and we had the lights off, and I'm like still going through the sensations, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this tub ain't doing nothing for me. Like, nothing. I do remember like blacking out though. I don't know if that makes sense, remembering blacking out. But I did, because I knew I blacked out because I would wake up and be like, where was I at? Like, I don't remember anything. And then I would go back into that space. And then as a rush came, I would wake back up like, oh my God, going through it, and then back to sleep. And it just happened maybe for like an hour and a half, because got out of the tub about 2, and I was just like, yeah, I'm over this tub. It's not doing nothing for me. I got out, came onto the bed, and I was like, I kind of want to check to see where my cervix is, like how far am I dilated, because I just wanted it to be over. Disclaimer though, cervical checks do absolutely nothing for you. It literally is like, it tells you nothing, because you could be at 5 centimeters and jump to like 10 centimeters in like an hour, or you could be stuck at 7 centimeters for like a day. So it's like, it really tells you nothing, but we've been kind of psychologically trained to think that it will. Don't fall for the hype. Okay, so yeah, I definitely tried to do that, and within doing that, I kind of had started to doubt. I started to doubt more so when I got out the tub. My partner was like, do you want to go to the hospital? He's like, because you're like feeling pain, you don't know what's going on. And I'm like, I think he said, you don't know what to do. And I was like, yeah, but that's kind of what labor is. But in that sense, I didn't really know, because I did start to doubt myself when I thought like my cervix was still closed or something. I was like, oh my God, I'm feeling like this intensity, but it doesn't seem like it's even open. Like, what? Like, I was just freaking out a little bit. So I started to doubt myself, and I definitely was like, yeah, let's go to the hospital, make sure everything's okay. So we drive over to the hospital, and I'm like going through it in the car. So I freaking get out, we walk into there, and she lays me down, she goes into the room, tells me to change. Then I lay down on the bed, and she connects like this Doppler to me, and I didn't really like that, because that's more ultrasound radiation, and I just wasn't fucking with that. And she was like,
well, we just have to keep it on, because that's how we see how far along your contractions are, or close or far apart they are, whatever.
And I was just like, okay, because I kind of wanted to know too. So I was like, okay. So she does a cervical check. She tells me I'm 5 centimeters dilated, and then she tells me that I am 2 to 3 centimeters, no, 2 to 3 minutes apart, my contractions. And I was like, okay. She's like, yeah, so you are in active labor. What's your birth plan? And I was like, I just don't want any epidurals or anything, and I want to keep the baby's placenta attached. And she was like, what? And I was like, I want to keep the baby's placenta like attached to them completely. And she was like,
you're gonna have to ask the physician about that.
And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? The physician doesn't give me any permission. That's what's happening, right? So what the fuck do I need to ask him for? And then I'm like super dehydrated at the time, so I was like, yo, can I have some water? Like, I'm dying. And this girl gonna tell me that they can't give any water to someone in active labor. No food or water. What sense does that make?
What sense?
Because how am I supposed to push a baby out while dehydrated and starving? Makes no sense. So yeah, that's another thing. When she said that, I was like, yeah, get me the fuck out of here. The physician comes, does an ultrasound without even asking. tells me that the baby is 7 pounds, 14 ounces. When that was a damn lie, because my baby came out like 6 pounds, I swear. We didn't actually record the weight, but she for sure 3 weeks later was only 7 pounds and I think like 14 ounces. To where I'm like, so she stayed the same weight for 3 weeks? Doubt it. So, yeah, lies. And so I'm like, I'm not like admitted, right? I can go home. And she's like,
You want to go home? You're in active labor.
and I was like, I know, I just don't feel comfortable in a hospital. I'd rather go home. And she's like,
It's against medical advice for you to go. You can, but it's against medical advice.
like, I completely understand. Like, isn't there just a paper I need to sign? And then the doctor's like,
Your baby's okay now, but you never know what could happen.
I'm just like, one, why would you instill that type of fear into, someone who's giving birth? Like, why would you put that in their mind? Like, that's just not nice to do. It's just not. Because now you're trying to make it seem like, oh my God, I'm going to harm my baby if I go home. And then, two, that can be the same case at a hospital. The baby is okay now, but you never know what could happen if I'm just laying down on the bed the same way. Something could still happen to where it's like, I'd rather be comfortable and feel like I'm in a safe space than be somewhere where I'm feeling uneasy, like that's no better. So I was like, yeah, I get that, but I just want to go home, so I feel comfortable there. And then she looks over to my partner and she's like,
Do you even know how to deliver a baby?
and I'm like, he doesn't need to deliver a baby regardless. The baby's going to come out whether I'm alone or with 1,000 people. So it doesn't really matter. There's no one that needs to be there to deliver the baby. They know what to do more than I know what to do. So thank you. But he's like, no, but I know that she's going to be taken care of. So boom, that was that. So they finally leave to go get the paperwork. And then they're taking forever. And I'm like, she said, I'm in active labor. So I'm getting these rushes like every 2 to 3 minutes. And they're about a minute, 2 minutes long. So I'm like, bruh, speed it up. But I do feel like they were trying to stall so that I would have to stay there. Because he's like, bruh, they're trying to stall. And I was like, no, maybe it's just taking a while. He goes to open the door to go ask for the paper. And they're right in front of the door, just chilling. And I was just like, wow, okay, so y'all were, give me this paper so I can sign the paper. Signed the paper, still got the paper, probably gonna frame the paper because fuck y'all. And we got out of there, started heading back home. We get back home, and as soon as I get in the house, like, I feel another one completely, like, just breaking me down at this point because I couldn't even, like, stand on my own. Once I got one, because we had just got in, so I was standing still. And I just was bearing down on Dre. Like, literally, he's up here, and I'm just, like, holding down on him. And just going through it, going with it. And then, finally, I make my way to the couch. And that's when I started feeling nauseous. It kind of goes away, but then it comes back. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna throw up. Where's the bucket? I need a bucket. I throw up, and then I'm like, okay, so I'm going into transitioning. So typically, like, when you start to throw up or you poop or something like that, like you're going into where the baby's like making way to come out. So be ready, And I want to say we got back about 4. So, yeah, I was like, okay, so the baby is coming. Okay, good. But then I start to pee, and then I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I gotta poop. Like, I need to get to the bathroom. Luckily, we had enough towels on the ground to accommodate fluids. So I did pee in the living room, but it's okay. Nothing seeped through. We made it. It was good. So yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna poop in this living room. I'm going to the toilet. So I went, sat down on the toilet, and then I feel inside me and just see like where I'm at. And I start to feel like the amniotic sac because my water still had never broke. So I was just like, oh, there it is. Okay, I feel it. And it was about like right at the first line of my finger. So I was like, damn, it's close. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. So then he suggests, he's like, do you want to get in the tub? And I was like, yeah. But we still had the water from the previous time I was in the tub still there. So it was like freezing cold water. And then we had like super filled it up to where I had to wait for that shit to drain. And it took forever. It felt like it took forever. It probably didn't. But it took forever. And I'm like, oh my God, okay, I'm just getting in. And it was like a little bit of cold water left. And I was like, fuck it, just turn the hot water on. It'll be okay. So I get in and it's kind of cold, kind of hot. And then it fills up about like halfway, if that. And I'm like, okay, like this baby, I'm like actively like pushing at this point, because at first I wasn't pushing. Like when I was still in the living room, I wasn't pushing, but I do feel like she was trying to come down, and I may have been restricting my own body, because once Dre had said like, should you be pushing? And I was like, I was thinking that my body was just gonna be like, woof, like just pushing on its own type of thing, like something that I couldn't stop at all, like something much more exaggerate. But is that a word, exaggerate? No, exaggerated. And I was like, oh, okay. So once I got that idea, I definitely started to go with it, and that's when I felt like, oh yes, I am supposed to be pushing a little bit, definitely. So yeah, now I'm full blown pushing in the tub, and I swear I felt like my freaking butthole was gonna come out. Like I was afraid. I was like, is she coming out of my ass? What is going on? So I literally like pushing my butt to make sure it does not, like, I didn't want it to flip inside out or something. Like I didn't want like super hemorrhoids, because I heard of that. My friend told me, and I was like, I don't want that. I do want to TMI you guys, but I did poop. And I do want you guys to realize that that is a variation of normal, because women, you're pushing, something is pressing on you. You're, of course, like, it's natural to happen, and a lot of people don't hear about it or even expect it. So if you're having a natural physiological birth, expect, you know, fluids and stuff to come out. So just be prepared for that, right? Anyway, so yeah, I'm pressing on my butthole, and then I'm still pushing, and I start to feel I feel my water break, and it's just like a pop, and I was like, oh, well, that was that. So she's really coming. And then I start to feel her travel down the birth canal, and I'm like, okay, I'm opening. Well, you're welcome. You're welcome here, Sola. You know, like just telling myself that, and then my eyes get huge, and I'm just looking up at Dre, and my mouth drops. He's like, what? And then he looks, and he's like, oh, that's the head. And like she was starting to crown, right? And that ring of fire is something real, y'all, because that, I don't understand how it just burned that much. And she didn't come out with that first rush. She wasn't like just head completely out. It was still there, and I was like, oh my God, there's no way I can wait for this next rush. I can't do it. Like, I'm pushing her out right now. And I wish I would have, because I wouldn't have tore. Once you go against your body, you're more susceptible to tears for sure. So I didn't tear super crazy or anything, but I do know that I tore a little bit. So I was like, I just gotta push her out. And I did that, and boop, the head just like popped out, and it was so crazy. I feel like I don't even have like a clear image of it in my head a little bit anymore. Like I can't even see it. But once her head comes out, I think I had another rush come, and boom, whole body just came out with ease. And then the placenta even came out a little bit, honestly. So I have her on me, and what's it called? She's just laying there, and then I flip her onto her stomach just so that I can rub her back and get all those fluids out. And then she gives us a little cry, And she's just chilling. Then I just have her on me, and then I do feel the placenta, but the cord was a little short, so I couldn't put her all the way up. I just had her like on my stomach a little bit, and I just had her chilling there. And then, yeah, I wanted to birth placenta so then I could get out and get into the bed. And I was just so exhausted because it had been about 27 hours since that first rush, so I had only had maybe a couple naps. And yeah, in just a couple like hours, so maybe like 4 hours of sleep, and I was like exhausted, you know. So I wasn't focused on the golden hour and the skin to skin like I should have been. I was a little bit too in my head, and yeah, didn't do that like I should have. But yeah, I birthed the placenta. Much easier than birthing the baby, for sure, right? Go ahead and, you know, plop that out. It was so meaty and thick, and it was just so beautiful. I love placentas. They look amazing. They remind me of the tree of life, and that's truly what they are, right? So, yeah, we birthed that baby, and I told you, I was like, go look at the time. We go look at the time, and I was like, bet, looking up that birth chart ASAP. So did that. I told him to get the cameras, take some pictures of us, and that'll be pictures you guys see. And yeah, the water was pretty bloody, so I think that was from when I had tore a little bit. And also, you know, just the fluids coming out of you, you're likely to see blood. Some women bleed more than others, so it may look a little gory, but it's, I don't know, it was normal to me. I didn't die, so it must have been okay. I'll take it. But yeah, so yeah, that was pretty much the birth story. I don't think I'm missing anything. But yeah, baby is healthy and beautiful. So I definitely would recommend it if you feel comfortable doing something like that. You know, a lot of people keep telling me that I'm brave and so courageous for doing it on my own, and I'm like, I feel like the real brave people are the people who go to the hospitals, because you're just putting your life and your baby's life in somebody else's hands, you know. So especially if you choose to like get an epidural or get an induction, like it can get scary. So definitely, like, y'all are brave, you know. I just did it the cheapest, easiest route, and just stayed at home and did it with me and my partner, when you think about it. So I do appreciate all the compliments. However, women need to know that it is within you, you know, like, it is, your body is designed for this. You can do it. You don't need someone to coach you through it, coach you to push. You don't need anyone to induce you and tell you your baby's not ready or that you're high risk. Your body is made for this. You got this. Feel all the empowerment that you deserve through being able to be this portal from the spiritual realm to the earth realm. Like, we are magical beings, you know. Put some respect on us, okay? So, yeah. But I'm done rambling. That is my video for today. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know how you guys feel. If there's any questions, anything that I missed, go ahead and tell me. I would love to answer them for you. Yeah, I will be doing a part 2 of this video, or just mommy video, of the postpartum from day 1 to now. Go ahead and follow me on Instagram, Sasha Sunflower 333. My Twitter is the same, and I believe that is it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I love you all. Have a beautiful week. Peace and love. Adios.